Welcome back to my 40th series of Quilting on TV. On today's show, we're going to take a look at how to create rings in our quilt. Before we get to our project on the rings on a quilt, Joan Hawley is joining us again to show us some tips and techniques. Hi, Joan, how are you?
Hi, Kay, I'm fine. How are you?
Good. What are we going to see today?
This is one of my favorite zipper techniques, and I use it wherever I can. So let's look at it first, and then we'll see how it's done.
Okay.
And what's so special about this, now here we have a backpack, and the shoulder strap unzips and becomes two shoulder straps.
Neat.
Our technique is going to show us how to put this fabric onto the zipper.
Okay.
Once we learn how to do that, we can use that zipper technique anywhere we want. Here, our floral fabric is attached to the zipper, same as in our backpack design.
Okay.
And finally, on a small purse, here it is with this nice dark fabric calling it out, matching the zipper so it fades into the purse design.
Great idea.
Okay, we call this our no fear zipper.
So, because you've taken the fear out of it, right?
Well, we have, and you know, zippers are so intimidating, but we found an easy way to put them in. So let's look at just what it is that we're going to be putting together. We have two pieces of fabric. We're going to show you how to fold and press them, and then we're going to stitch them next to the zipper.
Okay.
All right, so let's set that aside, and now I've cut just a little sample so that we can fold it and press it and show everyone how this comes together.
Okay,
so let's
you
go
want
to
me
that.
To press it?
Yes, now let's fold it in half,
okay,
matching our long edges, and give it a nice good press. Now don't be afraid to use steam on these projects because we aren't working with bias cuts, we aren't doing any complicated piecing. So that's a nice crease. Let's take a look at that and open it up. Now this is super easy. We've built in a landmark to show us where our next step is.
Okay.
We're going to take our long edge and fold it into the center.
And then press it?
And then press again.
Okay.
And we're going to do that for both pieces, or both edges of that piece. And by doing so, what we've done is taken all those long raw edges and put them on the inside where no one's going to see them.
Good.
And there is a lot of flexibility with this technique. Here we've cut a 4-inch wide strip of fabric, and we cut it a little bit longer than our zipper, so we have plenty of room to play. By folding it and pressing it twice, and doing as we've done, if you'll fold it one more time.
Okay.
We've ended up with a 1-inch wide, double folded strip cut on the straight of grain.
Okay.
That's what we're going to encase our zipper in. So we're going to make 2 of those, a little bit longer than our zipper. And now let's see how to attach that to our project.
Okay.
So let's set this aside. And here I have some longer ones. And this is already folded and pressed, just as we need. And now what's wonderful about this, again, it's longer than our zipper. We've got some wiggle room. Here, let's lay this out in front of us. Let's see if we can move our bag out of the way. And we're going to ask for a little bit of help from our glue stick.
Okay.
Because we have these tools, we might as well use them, right?
Yep.
Now if we can just start it on the end, we'll just put a little bit on our fabric. And if you have liquid glue or some leftover fusible tape or some spray adhesive, you can use all of that. And we're just going to fold that in there until the fold of our fabric is just a little distance from our zipper teeth.
Okay.
Okay? There's no magic to this. There's no secret equation. And we're going to go ahead and stitch. And what we have set up here on our machine, now I put our walking foot on because later in our project I'm going to use the walking foot, so I didn't want to change halfway through. I set it up for what I need for the whole project, and I'm ready to go. Now we've moved our needle position all the way over to the right. We're using a little bit hardier needle. I think this is a 90.
Okay.
And standard thread for piecing or top stitching. And what we're going to do is run the edge of our presser foot against the ridge of our zipper teeth.
Oh, okay.
And that's going to give us a nice guide for sewing. And we're going to do this for the whole length of our zipper. And because we put that little bit of glue in there, it held our pieces together as we got started. And this is as easy as could be. Now you can use this technique anywhere. Now we have one more little secret here. We're going to stop part of the way through. We're going to put our needle in the down position. And if you don't have that function, just turn the handle until your foot comes, or your needle comes down. And we're going to go ahead and unzip our zipper. And we want to get the bulk of the zipper pull past the needle.
Okay.
Because if you've ever stitched past one of those, it just isn't much fun, and it's going to leave a little warble to your stitches. So give it a little tug and get it past the presser foot. Line everything back up. Put your presser foot back down and continue stitching. And there we go. You can use this on any length of zipper. On our backpack, we continued the fabric strip a few extra inches because that is actually our shoulder strap. And
okay.
Our zipper wasn't as long as we needed. So here we go. We have this nicely stitched. Let me zip this so we can see it. Look how nice and even those stitches are.
All right.
So anyone can do this. Now adding the second piece is just as easy as getting started with the first. Now I like that glue stick, that worked out nice. So go ahead and add whatever adhesive it is that you're working with. We'll go ahead and put the zipper tape right on top of our project, and we're ready to sew.
Okay, are you lining up plaids? Is that a good idea?
You certainly can.
Okay.
And we have enough fabric that we can do that. And we're going to stitch this just like we did before. And to get started, I'm going to bring it over to the machine and do any final adjustments. There, we've lined up our plaid across the zipper. That looks fabulous. And then we're going to pull our zipper out just a little bit so it matches on the as it does on the other side. We haven't made any other adjustments to our machine. We're still working with the same presser foot, the same stitch, the same needle. Now once we get started, we're going to stop and do what we did before. Put your needle in the down position. We're going to go ahead and zip the zipper to get that zipper pull past the presser foot, and then continue stitching. And we can just work this as we go, lining it up a little bit at a time, remembering the whole way to use the ridge of our zipper teeth against the edge of our presser foot. And when we're done, we can top stitch this right onto the top edge of a bag. We can sew the ends into the seams of a project and they finish nicely. And let's take this off the machine and let me show you a quick little tip for how to finish the ends.
Okay.
There we go. This is great. Here it's nice and clean and finished, looks fabulous. I'm just going to trim the fabric even with the end of the zipper.
Okay.
And if you'll grab that black bag, I'll show you what we're going to do. Right here on the end of our bag, we have our zipper that ends and then folds under, and I'm going to show you how we did that. So we're going to top stitch this to the top edge of the bag. We're going to fold it over and then fold it under, and we've got a nice clean finish for our zipper.
And you just stitch across there?
You can just do a little tack stitch there, and then out here where we have room to work, we can top stitch it to the edge of a bag.
Great idea.
And that's all there is to it. That's a no-fear way of installing a zipper in almost any kind of project.
Good. I can see it on the back of a pillow.
Or the front of a jacket.
Yeah.
Lots of uses.
Sounds good. All right. Let's take a look again how you separated this into the two pieces because of the zipper. I think that's really unique.
It's a really nice way to add a shoulder strap. And remember, our zipper stops here. We continued the fabric strip longer, sewed it into the project ends, and you can zip it for one bag or strap or unzip it for two.
Thank you so much, Joan, for sharing these techniques with my viewers.
Thank you, Kay.
And I'm going to go over now and join Carolyn and see her rings. I'd like you to help me welcome a new guest to the show. This is Carolyn Griffin. Hi, Carolyn. How are you?
Hi, I'm pleased to be here.
Well, thank you. This is the quilt we'll be working on, right?
This is my new quilt. It's called Rings and Things.
Oh, and is this why it's a ring? Here we've
it,
got a
exactly.
complete circle and another ring.
That's it exactly. It looks like circles, but they're all straight lines, straight cuts, and straight seams.
So you've made it easy for us.
That's right.
Okay, how are we going to get started?
Well, I wanted to start talking first a little bit about fabric choices.
Okay.
This uses 4 different fabrics. To begin with, I choose my medium fabric, and that normally has a print or more than one color to it. So from that, I can choose a very light fabric and then 2 dark fabrics that contrast well with each other. And that's what, between the seams and angles that you're sewing and the colors, that's what gives you these beautiful rings.
Looks great.
And
So
it's
4
simple.
fabrics, that's it.
4 fabrics.
Okay. After we've selected our fabrics, where do we go?
It's time to start sewing. Now what we're going to be making are 2 stars, but they're really just 1 star, exactly the same. It's the same pieces, here, here, here. The corners are all exactly the same, just the difference, the only difference in them is the different placement of the color. So we'll start looking at this one. I'm going to put this one out of the way.
Okay.
The first thing we're going to work on is this little segment here.
The corners.
Little pointy little corner. These are all cut from strips. And the first thing we need is a big piece. We're going to make this guy.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. And what we do is cut a strip the size we need, lay our tool down, and find the lines that match the fabric, just like this.
Okay, it looks like 4.5 inches.
It
right?
is, it is. And if we cut here, we're going to have our first big piece that goes in the center there.
I
Okay.
see. Okay.
And we can turn around here, find that 4.5 inches again.
So we're not wasting any fabric.
Absolutely right. Did you know, by the way, that if you put your little finger off of your ruler, that you can keep your ruler from spinning as much?
That's a good tip.
And off we go again. And there's another one ready to go. You need 4 of these for each block.
And they're all
Okay.
cut, even though upside down, they're all cut. It's exactly
the same.
shape.
That's
Okay.
right. The other thing you need are these little pointy corner pieces. Again, we're going to cut from strips. Again, it's a 4.5 inch strip.
Now I noticed this one's on the fold.
It is because we want 2 mirror images. So we'll cut them both at the same time. So with this, we find the line over here on the and line up our 4.5 down here. There we go. And we cut. And each time we cut, we'll get those 2 mirror images.
Okay, so we need this and 2 of these mirror image.
And we're ready to go. So I lay this little pointy piece onto the larger piece and line up so that my 1/4 inch seam comes out this little valley. Then we'll fold this open, bring this back to our cutting mat. I'm going to line up my 4.5 again and cut this back into that same big shape that we had before.
Okay.
Then we'll lay another little pointy piece on here and sew that with a 1/4 inch seam. And see again, my 1/4 inch seam is going to come out right there at that valley.
Okay.
Okay. Once we have that done, we've made that. That's our corner,
Okay.
and we're ready to go. The other pieces we need, well,
The square.
a simple square in the center. Around the outside here, we have 4 flying geese with rectangles attached to them.
Okay.
Okay. And I have a fun way to make flying geese. And that I want to show you over at the sewing machine.
Okay, great. Carolyn, how are we going to start piecing this?
Okay, we need flying geese.
Okay.
That's a unit that's used in a lot of quilts. It's this unit right here.
Three pieces.
One big triangle, 2 small triangles.
Right.
And for each block, we need 4 of these.
Okay.
So we have a way to make flying geese 4 at one time.
Oh, great.
Yes. What we need are 5 squares. 1 large square that matches where it says 2 by 4, because this is going to end up 2 by 4.
The flying geese part.
Correct.
Okay.
So we need 1 large square like that, and we need 4 little squares on the same corresponding dashed line here for the 2 by 4 goose.
Okay, it says 2 by 4.
Right?
Great.
Just like that.
And we need 4 of those.
4 of those.
Oh, great.
Now we're going to take each one of those 4 and draw a diagonal line, corner to corner. Just need something that's going to mark. And it doesn't matter, you could even mark this with a permanent pin, because this is going to be in the seam allowance. It's never going to show on your quilt.
Okay.
There's another one,
And one more looks like.
and one more. Okay. Now to begin here, I need that big square
Okay.
and 2 of these little squares.
And
I'm
we're
going
putting
to
the right sides together?
right sides together.
Okay.
We're going to line up the edges here.
Now let's get rid of the ruler underneath. Okay.
And the second one goes right here.
All right.
And we're going to sew a 1/4 inch on either side of that line. Just like
So
that.
I notice you've got a 1/4 inch foot on the machine to
I
help you
do.
with that.
I do.
So
We'll just line up.
so you just go from one to the other.
Right, with our 1/4 inch seam.
Okay. It seems easy enough.
It really is quite simple. And we'll stop and cut. And we need to turn around and do the same thing on the other side of that line.
Again, using the guide on the foot.
That's right. And off we go. And there we go. So now we have this piece all sewn, and we're going to cut it
Do you ever
right
cut it
down.
with the rotary cutter, or do
I
you
do
use those
sometimes,
scissors?
but I have these little scissors that feel so good in my hand. If I have a lot of them to cut, I'll use the rotary cutter. And now what we want to do is press these ears up
Okay.
so that it looks like a little heart.
All right, I can do that.
And once we have that pressed, we'll add another square and sew.
Doesn't look like a flying geese yet.
It'll be there in just a minute, believe it or not. So here we're going to add another square onto that heart. And you remember we have 4 squares.
Right.
So we'll do the same thing on this one.
And the diagonal
The
line
diagonal
goes right.
goes this way this
Oh,
time.
okay.
And I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch on either side of the line again.
Okay.
Okay? So we put this under the 1/4 inch foot and go again. And when I'm at home, normally I do chain piece and I sew dozens of these all at the same time.
Uh-huh.
There we go. And we're going to turn around.
Well, here you can chain right onto this one.
I can. And now I'm ready to do the other piece. So again, I'll put that under with my 1/4 inch on the line we drew, and off we go. And we'll turn around and come down the other side on the second piece. Now, here's your magic. We're going to cut down that line,
Okay.
and we're going to open this up. And what do you see?
Flying geese.
And there's no waste because what are we cutting off?
Ah,
Another goose.
okay.
So I have 2 here, and you have 2 there.
Okay.
All 4 geese are done and ready to go.
All right, so
We'll
let's
just
cut
cut
it.
this. And you get to press again,
Away from the center?
away from the center.
Okay. Just imagine how fast we'd get our quilts done if at home somebody was there to press.
It would be so
wouldn't
nice.
it? Do you want to come home and press for me?
No, thank you.
No, I can't talk you into that, can I?
Now to each one of these geese, we're going to add a rectangle that's the same size as the goose,
Ah,
just
okay.
like that. And that's the side unit of each of these blocks.
Oh, I didn't do a very good job. Let me just get that. There we go.
There you go. So we've got our rectangle added on. That's the side unit, and it goes right here on the block.
Okay, let's take this back to our block here because sometimes when it's all put together, it's a little bit, daunting or whatever.
Yes.
Right here. This is where your flying geese units are going.
That's right.
And your corner units. So we haven't done anything with this yet.
No.
Okay, all right. So here's our pieces and our corner
Pieces and parts.
Pieces and parts, yeah. Okay.
Now what if we wanted to make this quilt, but we don't want to spend quite so much time piecing?
Okay, you have a tip for us?
I do. I have a
Okay.
good trick. In the center of each of these rings is one star.
Uh-huh.
In between each of these rings is another star. Instead of piecing the squares that go in the center of each of the ring, you could use one feature fabric, the same
Okay.
size as the pieced square. And that'll cut your sewing in half.
Why don't you lay that right there?
So out in the center here, you could just have one fabric.
Oh, that would be a neat place for even fussy cutting or something like that.
And I tried this with a beautiful Asian fabric, and oh my goodness, it just looks like puddles of this beautiful feature fabric that I didn't want to cut into little pieces anyway, all over the quilt with the stars in between. I was very pleased.
That's a neat idea. So we've got another option here with our pieces.
That's right.
But you would still keep these stars, is that right?
Those stars remain in the middle.
Okay.
And the rings stay.
As rings.
It's just that easy.
That is really impressive.
Well, thank you.
Well, let's take a look at the quilt you have here. A different color range completely.
I like playing with color. I like playing with batik fabrics, and that's sometimes difficult for quilters. We collect a lot of really beautiful fabrics, but we don't want to cut it up.
I can relate to that.
Yes. So this is one of the batik fabrics that has more than one. I've picked the fabric, that's my medium fabric, that has more than one color to it and more than one shade. And then from that fabric I picked a very light and then 2 darks that I still had good contrast with.
That's the important thing, the
It is.
contrast in the darks.
It is. To be able to see the rings distinctly from each other, you really need that.
That is gorgeous. And
Well,
the
thank you.
quilting is really nice too.
Thank you. That was quilted by a friend of mine who lives in Washington State, and she just does a beautiful, beautiful job.
It's so nice to see when the quilting follows the form of the design in the quilt and accents it.
It does. Every time I get something back from her, it's like opening a Christmas present.
Well, I want to thank you. I think this has been great. It gives our viewers some more ideas on how to use up those fabrics. And of course, then we want to go and buy more. You know how that is.
Of course, of course.
We have to feed our stash, don't we? Well, thank you, Carolyn, so much. This has been fun.
Thank you, Kay.
And be sure and join me on my next show when I'll bring you some more quilting ideas.
For information on today's main demonstration, call 1-800-248-K. That's 1-800-248-5293. Or write to us at K's Quilting Friends, Post Office Box 456, West Branch, Michigan, 48661. Please remember to specify the program number. K's Quilting Friends is brought to you in part by Janome America, Clover Needlecraft, Light Technology, and Lazy Girl Designs. Our thanks for joining us for this edition of K's Quilting Friends. We hope the ideas shared with you in this program will make your quilting more enjoyable. Please join us again on the next K's Quilting Friends.